So this is the final election for the free market this year. The most rumor. The story of the Battle of the Bulge. Almost half of the leagues are LBJ's home. It's like any team can relate to him. This is because the LBJ is different this year than it was before. The first is that the government is not going to be able to keep up with the demands of the people. The government has also been trying to get the government to pay the price of the newly created oil. The uprising is a protest against the death of a Muslim leader. I'm also willing to try. However, in late May, the program was made with NAS and was broadcast live. LBJ also made a few comments about his future. The comments were considered to be LBJ. The number of cruises that could be cut off by itself. It seems that his future will change from N1 to 3 to 1. The second option is 1. The LBJ has been a huge influence on the country's economy, and it is a very important part of the country's economic growth. Some of them were previously considered LBJs. The team that is most likely to go will lose its competitiveness. Today we will talk about the future of LBJ. The show, which I mentioned, was broadcast at the end of May. Mind Game LBJ and NAS are online for sale. This article is mainly about the state of our conspiracy. The future is almost back together. But in the show, NAS actively asks about the intention of LBJ. What is the meaning of this? The first is that you can decide how you will look at the current elections and how you will decide the future. Do you go to the village of Mullen every day? It takes a while to slow down and fight. LBJ's response was, I have not yet thought deeply about this topic. The line counting is not yet in its final stages. I'm going to take a family vacation first. The project is expected to last from late June to August. The first is the free market. The next step is to plan ahead. The LBJ also said, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. The team has a strong rivalry. The team will never go to the bottom of the sea to rebuild this type of team. The question of whether to make a living is his main consideration. He also mentioned his family. He said his son will continue to play soccer under pressure. My daughter will be focusing on volleyball by the time she turns 12. So when you make your choice, you have to make your own choice. I'm going to watch my life, how I feel about my family. The future of the country is a sad one for me and my wife and children. I'm not saying that. LBJ's comments. This is not a windmill. The truth is not true. The 42-year-old will be talking about a downloader in the future. The only thing that is important is that we should not be thinking about ourselves. He must balance the forces of all sides. The first is that the government is not going to be able to take any action. First of all, I want to be a leader. LBJ should be more inclined to keep hitting. The year of the contract is hard to say. He said he could still maintain a high level of economic status. The game is currently underway and will be played in the next few days. But it's also pretty bad. But we should also note that the NBA has never had a player in its history. The same goes for the LBJ, which is still a state of mind at age 42. For example, Vince Carter has played in the 19th, 20th grade. I retired at the age of 43. He was a member of the National Football League's All-Star team, but he didn't play a single first-round game in his final season. The average person gets 5.0 points in 14.6 minutes. 2.1 blue version. I've been eating only 5.1 times for a while. The survival rate is also 35.2 points for the second drop in life. The game is a little more intense than the game itself. He fought in his last class. The first is the 16th and 17th grade. The last time I saw a woman in the car was in the car. But his old words are more thorough. In the last season of his career, he played only 9 games in the historic tournament. The game is played with the host and the contestant. After 2 matches in the climate race, the race was cancelled due to injuries. The LBJ was 9.2 before the LBJ. He was also a part of the team that won the World Cup last season at age 42. His star rating is clearly higher than the first 2. The last year of the era, the stock market received 10.1 points in 22.9 minutes. The season ended with 11.1 points in 23.4 minutes. The second half of the season. And if we know, the first core of the game was magic. I'm just trying to explain this. LBJ is at the level of the tournament. This is especially true during the season. The game is so amazing. The first time I saw a woman in the country, I was in a coma. It is worth it. He is a year older than his father, and he is a year older than his mother. The first time I saw the results of the competition was in the first round. Do you think the season will continue to be a good one? The answer is difficult to say. He also said he would not sign a long-term contract, so go back to my estimate. He is also a former member of the National Assembly of Nigeria. The second is a key issue. The LBJ is probably out of the house. The first is the following. LBJ has given up the rotten rebuilding teams. The team is not a team that knows where to go even in their own future. So teams like Blue Net have already made $560 million. No. 4 is not considered. He also doesn't consider small-town teams. The children's education and growth require better and more worrying resources. So Minnesota is like this. The city of Milwaukee is not worth considering. The government has also announced that it will be closing its doors in August. This suggests that he may wait until the coalition format is fundamentally established. Most teams are gradually finished and then try to check the controls. The government has also been trying to get the government to pay the same amount of money to the people, even if it is only $10 million to $15 million a year. The problem is that the government is not going to be able to solve it. On this basis, it is also clear to me which team he is most likely to go to. I'm not sure what I'm saying. Nick should be the most hopeful. The two are Zardik and Wersch. The 3 teams are the top 3 teams in the Eastern Division of the Big Ten Conference. Nick reached the final of the competition. The city is a big city, so we can't say much about it. The body weight of Lee Trout and Dr. Don't is also good. The first is that the government has not yet taken the necessary steps to ensure that the people of the country are safe. The country is still experiencing a large number of people with HIV. This is a very bad thing for LBJ to use its own fighting power, so we're going to switch the boss line out. From the west, look. The lake is a hot spot for the kids. The 2 options are obviously the most likely. If you were a month ago, I'm going to dilute the burden of the statement. Lakers are the most likely landing spot for LBJ. He will still be with the Lakers. But recently. The first is that the new generation of the internet is not a new generation. I was also shocked by the news that the news was coming. According to the famous Brad Turner, AR is a 5-year, $240 million stars. The Lakers are likely to refuse to accept discount offers. The first is that the country is not a country. Lakers will give priority to their wishes over LBJ. The biggest selling point in the LBJ phase is the LBJ. The ball is in the air. The road is not a safe place to go. The lake is not particularly in need of these. The most important thing is that they have the energy, the projection, the motivation. This is the only thing that LBJ has not done. So go to the fast hall in the same place as the weak mountain plain. The lake is a better option than the lake. The first is that the company is not selling Leonard. The first is that the LBJ plus Leonard plus Garland. The 5th episode of the show. The new government is expected to continue to rise in the blue wave. The key players. The pressure on the players to split the LBJ is already on the players. The first is the spacecraft. The team's role players. The government has also issued a statement saying that the government is not going to be able to keep up with the demands of the government. The price of a single-handed defense is also a price, so the more we want to feel, the more we feel. In addition to the so-called academic degree, the fast-paced hall is also quite suitable for LBJ. This section. I have a note from the blog, except for Mars. The first is that the city is not a small city, but a small city. The city is a small ball market, but it is not surprising. LBJ's personality should not be seen much. The first is that. What is the meaning of this? Massey in Texas. The state of Texas is known as Red Date. Republican ticket office. The LBJ is a strong supporter of the Democratic Republican Party. This is not a secret. I'm not going to open up here again. The same reason. The 2 teams were very happy to see each other. The LBJ is not likely to be considered. This is a great opportunity. This is a very important step in the right direction. The 2 largest were previously considered. The team most likely to attract the LBJ. They were all thrown out. They are the Knights of the East. The West Bank and the Western Wall. LBJ is probably not going tonight. It's really simple. The following is a list of the topics covered. Cleveland is a small city with a small ballpark. The Blue Book is a great way to get more people to know you. But that's what makes you 30 years old. LBJ's stuff? The first time I saw a woman who was 42 years old, I was surprised. LBJ stuff is over. The next day. LBJ is a mid-cap investment firm that has been in business for over a decade. In fact, the current private sector. The fire is likely to spread. The pressure on fat tax is too great. Ellen may leave the squad. The latest news from Mobley. The Thunder Force is strong. The 2 men were shot in the arm. Matcher calls harden the front line of LBJ. The first is to protect the internet. The story is told through the eyes of a young boy who is a teenager. The first is that the people of the country are not allowed to vote. This new night. The first is that the New York Times is a big deal. The race is a healthy one. Do you want to go to the gym right now? I may not be optimistic about the answer. The reason why LBJ didn't go to Warriors is simple. The same is true of the disputes. If he goes to the Warriors, the team is trying to keep Hoffer, so Carey plus Bogger plus LBJ is the answer. Gray added Hoffer to the cast of the superhero. The number of years is 195. This is a big exaggeration. And what is even more silent is that the group is likely to be the most powerful warriors the Warriors could send to fight. BP may be in regular time. The first step is to take on more work. But we are at a crucial moment. The company is also a major supplier of energy to the world. I'm not saying that the heroes are completely unable to fight, but the truth is, the first is Carey. The cycle of disputes has passed. The Warriors come in hope. The story is based on the story of Carey and the superhero. The first is that the country has a very large population of people. But for LBJ, it's not the same. He didn't have to go on the boat. If there is a fight, there is a desire for a bigger team. Why didn't he go? Of course, this is not a problem. This is all based on the existing inferences, haha. The first is that the country is not a democracy. LBJ may decide again by August. The coalition may have changed by then. I think that the relationship between two people is very important. The first is the 720A. If the two of them finish the gang, we're going to make a brand. The first is the possibility of a new generation of young people being killed in the war. I'm going to give you a simple example. If hot reviews of young hosts, the election bids have been so big. The company is currently in the process of signing a $10 million contract with LBJ. If you want to be a part of the community, you can be a part of the community. LBJ's Peros are a family of upset parents from their mother's family. In a sense, it means this is a unique version of the death toll. If you can keep Wiggins, the team's risky strength is even more terrifying. The most powerful risk portfolio in the alliance currently. It's probably from New York. The hology of the Hart family, Bridge family, the LBJ family, the Wiggins family, and their sisters are a combination of the two. The first is the complete implementation of the project. The problem is not found. If my brother didn't come to the fire, we will never burn the fire. The LBJ is one of the possible descendants of the LBJ. But if the Greek officials say they're coming, I'm not sure if this is a good idea. Finally, let's talk about the LBJ. Nick from New York. The report also highlights the importance of the new policy. New York City is very likely to be crowned the largest city in the world in terms of demand. This is the most attractive place for LBJs. The problem is that if Nick really is a regular, he will be in the middle of a big earthquake. Home with a standing army. The first 3 changes in his LBJ career. 14 years of discrimination. The first time I saw a woman in the country, I was in a very bad mood. The 2 teams before he arrived. It's been hot for years. This is the first time I've seen this. The heat of the red-hot rainbow is gradually spreading. We should also consider, before the arrival of the LBJ and the news, around the world, the number of people who were infected with HIV is increasing. 9 to 10 are near. The heat wheel is 1-1. The military lost the battle for the right to keep the peace, so he shouldn't be the one who wants to lie down and carry a troop. If New York is finally turned upside down by the Mormons, the unarmed soldiers, he said that the number of people who have been killed in the war is still high. But if New York is a good place to live, I guess I'll go back and guess. The next day, the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. This is a new wave of LBJ's demise. The time is now the time note. If you don't choose the most likely LBJ to drop off, I'm going to be a mountain climber and a fast-track fish. If the LBJ's 5th inning, the 3rd round is here, Bombers' first ever win will be together. The game is also a game of basketball.